Hello and welcome. I'm News Center 7's James Brown. Glad to have you along for our Making a Difference special here on Channel 7. You know, so many volunteers in our community don't look for that extra pat on the back or that extra thank you. So that's where we come in and shine our spotlight on them and thank them ourselves. Our first story has to do with three retirees who have so much fun with a simple wooden child's toy. These three retirees are not going to let their age get in the way of having fun and making a difference.
Oh,
I want you to meet Peter.
we don't do it that way.
He will be 94 years old next month. Fred's loving life at 82, and Terry, he's the least mature of the bunch at 65. 16 hours a week, just like clockwork. These three take over this quaint, lightly dust-covered woodworking shop at St. Leonard's in Centerville. Men and their power tools.
I'm an amateur when it comes to wood.
They have been in production here about 4 years.
Well, we got started on this as a small project, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger.
And each became an expert in this massive assembly line of sorts.
I'm the wheel man. I make all the wheels.
Fred makes all the precision cuts. And Peter, well, he will do almost everything but run the table saw.
I still got all my fingers. Know where to keep them.
What's going on here is kind of like a symphony. Three friends and their instruments in unison, turning blocks of wood into little wooden cars. Lots and lots of cars.
Yeah, it's over 21,000 in it that we've given away. That's a lot of cars in 4 years. And just three of us.
More than 21,000 and counting. Each one of them has 4 wheels.
And that's hard to comprehend that I made that many wheels.
But these three guys have never wavered. Never have they not wanted to keep building these little works of art.
It's a piece of wood that's made with kind hands and good spirit.
What they're doing here is part of what's called Toys for God's Kids. The idea started in Colorado as a way to get handmade toys to kids around the world. Kids who otherwise would have no toys at all. And just last year, here at St. Leonard's,
We sent cars to 15 different countries, plus local outreach programs, and which amounted to just under 6,000 cars for the year.
interesting how they have touched so many lives with old donated scrap lumber.
Oh, it's a lot of satisfaction to see the pictures we get back.
And when you scratch away at the surface a bit more, you start to understand. These cars are so much more than just a piece of wood.
It's been a good thing for me.
Peter and his wife Vera were married almost 65 years.
I had 5 children, 3 of which are on Medicare now.
But in 2010, he lost Vera to Alzheimer's. After that, Peter said he just kind of shut down. Peter sat at home for a year and now admits he was slowly dying. But then these wooden cars came along and saved his life.
Well, I kind of look at it that way. Yeah, keeps me going. Right. You gotta get out and you gotta meet people. I mean, you can't sit at home and vegetate.
These three friends have no plans of retiring anytime soon. As a matter of fact, with a little help, they would like to increase production.
It'd be nice if we get another volunteer.
And before each car leaves,
Works.
Peter gives them the St. Leonard's stamp of approval. And what's just as important goes on the back.
Comes out good.
Made in the USA, for kids half a world away.
I think that means a lot. Shows them that, we care about other kids.
To see those kids, their wooden cars and their smiles, they know they are making a difference. And you can guarantee Peter, Fred, and Terry will be right back at it Monday morning. Those three are always looking for new volunteers and people who might want to donate some old material. For more information, you can reach out to St. Leonard's. This next man spent the better part of his life running. As a matter of fact, he has run the equivalent of 3 times around the world. But that's not Larry Smith's largest accomplishment. See, he spent the last 30 years trying to help save other people's lives.
1938, July 4th.
That was the day Larry Smith was born.
4th of July, baby. Firecracker.
And 77 years later, he's still a firecracker.
I do that a little bit every day. Sometimes spend, 10 or 15 minutes.
That also includes his stepped-up pace
Come down.
when he does his stair exercises. Larry loves life, hopes to get more out of today than he did yesterday. But it did not always used to be that way. Larry's early years in life were some of his darkest.
When I was 6 months old, I was abandoned by my parents. And I was left on the doorstep of the Marion County Children's Home.
At times, he said the staff emotionally and physically abused the kids.
If we went to bed, she'd throw the cover, she'd put our mouths down in it, like she'd just rub your mouth back and forth in it.
It got to the point where Larry just wanted to die.
I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what my purpose is on this earth. Why am I here? Is it to suffer like this?
Inside, he was filled with anger, especially toward his parents.
Now, to put the word blunt, I hated them. Because I also heard they were the cause of my blindness.
Larry's been blind since birth.
You see, I was born out of wedlock. And apparently she had somewhere along the way, she got syphilis.
And it spread to Larry's eyes. But in his early teens, life turned around for him. And in 1944, Larry went to the Ohio State School of the Blind, graduated, and eventually got a job in Dayton, working at Grandview Hospital's darkroom, processing film. It was there Larry was able to finally answer his childhood question of what his purpose in life was.
A double is 109 minutes.
You can just go for it.
For the last 30 years, Larry's been a blood, platelet, and plasma donor.
It's a way I can help people, and it's a way I can also give back.
Your platelet count is 292.
Ooh.
With his sunglasses, he's part rock star.
He's here every 2 weeks.
But it's his commitment to donating that has earned him this title.
He is the Superman.
But Larry's much more modest. He's never been a guy stuck on titles.
I don't consider myself any better than anybody else.
Coming from a man who's been blind since birth, he has tremendous vision.
I look at it like this. There's always someone worse off than you are. And I tell these people, if you got anything at all, think about the people that have little or nothing.
Interesting how a man who sees only darkness, yet sees life so much more clearly than some of us.
You thank the good Lord for what you do have. Don't worry about what you don't have.
I asked Larry how long he plans to keep doing this, and he said, as long as the good Lord allows.
And each one I made, I thought another baby's going to get this.
How wedding gowns can help a mother get through one of her darkest days. And
I am asking everyone to donate their gently loved items to deliver to children's.
the difference this 10-year-old is making in the lives of other kids. When women get married, they want that day to be perfect, especially their wedding dress. But so few think about how those dresses could help others deal with pain and suffering, like Kathy Deal. Kathy is now using that lace and satin to help other mothers dealing with such tragedy.
We found out there was no heartbeat at the hospital on Valentine's Day.
Her baby girl Ava weighed less than a pound. While dealing with the shock and the heartache of losing her child, there were no clothes small enough to fit little Ava. Kathy had to settle for a blanket.
There were baby doll clothes that might have fit, but it just didn't seem to bury your baby in baby doll clothes. It just didn't seem appropriate. So
A couple months went by and Kathy was still struggling.
the grief is just there. It's not really getting better.
She had to do something. Kathy and her grandmother sat down at their sewing machines.
And I sewed that first one, and I did that for my little girl. I sewed the smallest one I could make from a pattern, and that was for her.
For this grieving mother, it was therapy.
That was the first one. I added pink to it.
Then she made another and another.
And each one I made, I thought another baby's gonna get this.
The material came from a gown a stranger had donated.
And then I started getting family members donating wedding gowns, and I saw how many I was going to be able to make, and this would give 20 babies something to wear.
Word spread of what Kathy was doing.
I think each one is unique.
And people started donating their wedding gowns. And other women started volunteering to sew. Joyce is from Miami Township.
I sew to keep me sane, and so I sew a lot.
She's made close to 50 angel gowns just since October.
I read an article about the angel gowns.
And Diana's been at this about a year.
It stirred something inside of me.
34 years ago, Diana gave birth to twins, but baby Jennifer Lynn did not survive.
I was in such deep pain that something like this, I think, would have touched my heart more than any words anybody could have ever said to me.
Sitting here around this table, watching and listening to these women, it's easy to understand the common bond they have.
Good comes out of bad. It's hard to see it sometimes, but there's always good that comes out of bad. And you just have to find the good and move on.
The support has been overwhelming. People have donated close to 300 wedding dresses. This now looks more like a bridal shop than a spare bedroom.
They're also sorted so that the volunteers can come in and pick a wedding gown to make angel dresses out of. I think it's very important for them to be able to pick. It's amazing when I bring in 3 or 4 new volunteers and they see this and they're like, wow.
Kathy never expected one donated dress would turn into hundreds.
This room is therapeutic.
It's also helped in the healing process.
Definitely therapy. And it kind of keeps her alive. It's like she's right here with me every time I sew, every time I give out an angel dress and get a hug from my mom. That just, all they say is just thank you, because they just don't have words.
But those words are easier to come by from those donating dresses.
With this donation, we hope and pray you are able to make several outfits. We pray for peace to the families who lose their child and hope that this helps.
Sewing Heart's goal here is to donate as many baby gowns and dresses to as many hospitals as possible to help those grieving parents.
And it's the last outfit they're going to wear, and they'll always remember their baby in that special angel dress.
And as Kathy looks back on the last 2 years of this journey,
I feel like the experience is what got me to where I needed to be, that this needed to be done. And we had to lose her in order to see that, but I don't know that I would have ever come across this if it hadn't been for us losing Ava.
in her heart and soul, she knows little Ava is proud of what Mommy's doing. Anybody interested in donating wedding dresses for angel gowns or volunteering to help can go to sewinghearts.org. This next story started with a letter from a Darke County man. He sent it to me and he told me there was a little girl making a difference. But it took 10-year-old Brianna Deal getting sick to realize she had just the medicine it took to help other kids stuck in the hospital. Here in Bradford, Ohio,
it's a good little town.
Population 1,839. Not a single traffic light here in eastern Darke County. Folks here just fine with using Bradford's water tower as a better sense of direction.
There's a lot of good people here.
Bob Wirtz has lived here since the late 1990s.
I'm stuck.
While in town in early April, Bob came across this flyer showing a little girl not feeling so well, and she was at Dayton Children's Hospital.
I think this little girl is trying to make a difference, and that's just fantastic.
Bob felt compelled to send me this handwritten letter.
I read the posting, and while reading this, I became teary-eyed and choked up.
10-year-old Brianna Deal was on that flyer.
Brianna?
If you haven't learned about it, how are you supposed to know?
Brianna lives 15 miles away in Greenville and hopes those hospital stays are behind her. Pictures from the hospital showed this was no fun. There was not much she could do, and she quickly found out the hospital's movie and toy selection needed some help.
While I was sick, I had to go to Children's Hospital 3 times.
Brianna and Mom got to work putting together that flyer Bob Wirtz eventually saw.
That's when I asked my mom if we could donate some of our movies for Home to Children's. That's how all of this got started.
The flyer worked.
These are my favorite. My aunt went and got their books with the blanket in it.
Matchbox cars and Hot Wheels.
So far, dozens have shown up. Brianna's flyer was simple. It spoke from the heart of a 10-year-old.
I am asking everyone to donate their gently loved items to deliver to Children's.
Hard for people to say no to that request and that cute little smile.
There's a good reason for her getting sick. You know, it's made her realize what she wants to do to help other kids.
So what are those?
Crayons.
Little Brianna told me she never expected Channel 7 to share her story. But now that all her friends here at Greenville South Middle School know what she's doing, Brianna is thinking about going big time.
Next step is Ellen.
Did you catch that? She said next stop is Ellen. But until Ellen comes calling, Brianna will keep collecting for Children's Hospital. As for that letter from Bob Wirtz.
Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Bob Wirtz. And we don't even know who that is.
Strangers working together.
It was really warming, and I'm hoping it does make a difference.
More than you two will ever know. Brianna's mom and others in Greenville could not be more proud. It's interesting sometimes how we can learn so much from life's simple lessons. Coming up on the other side of the break, we take you inside the classroom and on the basketball court and talk with a man named Wade O'Connor.
Yep, show love to each other. I never want these kids to hit my rock bottom. I never want them to touch my desperation. I never want them to touch how broken I was. I never want to go back there.
2 lines, let's go, right here. His real-life battle with addiction and how he lost everything and would have died had it not been for just one thing.
All right, hold the ball.
Tell Sherry Aldridge she cannot do something, and that motivates her to work even harder, and that's what got my attention. Sherry showed me this building. Many people think should be demolished, but she wants to try and save it, saying it will help make a difference in our community. There's that old saying, it's not what's on the outside that counts, it's what's on the inside. That just might be what saves 1929 Santa Clara in Dayton.
I know that this community needs this building to come back.
She grew up in this neighborhood.
I drive past this building almost every day. It's an eyesore.
It's painful for Sherry to see what this part of Five Oaks has become.
This used to be a barbershop.
That was close to 10 years ago, here at the corner of North Main and Santa Clara Avenue. But Sherry sees more than most.
I see the kids here. I see the community back here.
Her vision here is what she calls the Santa Clara Project.
When I share the complete vision, everyone says, oh my God, why would you want to do that?
She wants to create a place where 18-year-olds have a place to go after they leave the foster care system.
There's no help for them, so it's like, if I don't do it, who's going to do it?
The Santa Clara Project would provide job training and housing for more than 20 young adults.
There are too many young people that are getting stuck out here that we don't realize are sleeping under a bridge, sleeping in abandoned buildings, committing crimes.
Since 2007, almost 600 teenagers have had to leave Montgomery County's foster care system when they turned 18.
I see lost spirits and lost souls now finding their place and their purpose in life.
But to make that vision reality, Sherry needs money and community support. As the Santa Clara Project works to raise the money needed to buy this building, scrappers and vandals have been working inside 1929.
As you'll see, each room now has damage in it.
When Sherry put a deposit down on the building last year, most of the upstairs was almost move-in ready.
I'm concerned that I need to hurry up.
Because if she does not, the building is only going to get worse, and so will the circumstances for young adults who have no place to call home.
I don't want them to lose hope, because when they come back, it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Abandoned buildings, homeless shelters, and that's, you know, they don't deserve it.
What's even more intriguing about Sherry's passion to help kids and young adults is how she thought about things earlier in life.
I struggled a long time with my walk, and that's my spiritual walk. I did not want to work with kids, and I tell everyone this. It was not me. I don't like kids. I don't want to be with kids.
She gave birth to her first child at 17 and became a foster mom at 23. These days, she finds herself losing sleep, not being able to help even more.
So I truly feel in my heart that if this is truly what God has for this community and it's going to happen. So no fear.
As Sherry looks down on her old neighborhood, she remembers a beautiful place. She believes her vision and this building will help bring that back again.
It's doable. It's really doable.
And over the past 8 years, almost 600 foster care children have had to leave Job and Family Services when they turned 18.
20 lines and 2, let's get 2 guys right here.
Now we have the story of Wade O'Connor. He was a Division I basketball coach, making a six-figure salary. He was married and had 3 children, but then he lost almost all of it. Now, how his fall from grace is helping make a difference in thousands of young people's lives.
20 lines on the side.
It does not take too long to figure out.
Let's go, 20 lines of 2. Let's get 2 guys right here.
Wade O'Connor is competitive.
2 guys right here, yep, lines of 2.
He is intense.
Both sides, 20,
and
2
focused.
2 lines, let's go, right here.
On the
2
basketball
line,
court, he works with boys and girls on their skills.
Right front pivot, good, let's go.
Does the same in the corporate world.
All right, hold the balls.
Companies pay him to motivate and challenge employees to become better at work and in life.
So to be a great learner, you gotta be a great what? Raise your hand.
He preaches core values like listening, learning, and
the third L right now, which is not enough. We got too much hate in our hearts. When you hate, you discriminate. We don't show each other enough what? Raise your hand. Who said love? Show love.
O'Connor also shares the same message at places like Richard Allen School on Dayton's West Side. A man so intense on the basketball court.
You guys doing okay?
Is so different in the classroom. Whatever the platform, he says he's on a mission to impact young people's lives and show them someone cares.
Stand up. You're not in trouble. So you better bring it in. I'm gonna show love. Because who loves you today?
You do.
You absolutely.
He also hopes to keep these kids from making the same mistakes he did. And that has brought O'Connor to this point.
So I would ask all of you, please raise your hand if you're perfect.
In this classroom, for the first time in public, he had the courage and strength to share this part of his dark past.
My first drink when I was 10 years old, December 24th, 1981.
He and his family were at some friend's house, and he got drunk. He liked the way it made him feel. This continued for the next 9 years. St. Patrick's Day, 1990.
I was with a friend of mine, Chris.
That night, Chris was a passenger in a car Wade was driving down a 2-lane highway in Massachusetts.
On the right side, you see up? I can't tell you because I've had at least 10 to 12 beers in the past 4 hours.
There was some sort of caravan in the breakdown lane.
So we're coming down the road. I look over my left shoulder. By the time I look back, bang! Hit me.
Blood and glass everywhere. But Wade and his buddy Chris survived that night.
Coach, now ready, go! Ball spin.
Wade eventually moved past that and coached basketball at 7 different colleges and universities. Coaching first at Marshall University, then the University of Dayton, and his last stop was at Southern Miss.
Instead of drinking 3 times a week, I went to 7 days a week.
Along the way, he got married, had 3 kids, and kept drinking.
Was married almost 10 years. My wife at the time, she left me 5, 6 years earlier.
Wade said he had the me disease.
Selfish, self-centered, self-seeking.
For more than 1,000 days straight, Wade drank.
And I always tell myself, tonight, it's just going to be, half the bottle.
It got so bad, he was drinking a liter of rum a day.
To look myself in the mirror, I couldn't look myself in the mirror because I hated, the man in the mirror.
Wade was a drunk and hid it from most.
It took me 8 years to surrender. Eventually get the greatest gift, Gift of desperation. June 24th, 2013.
It was that day, his 3 kids' arms squeezing him tight around his neck, that saved his life and got him to rehab.
Where's my hugs, kisses, huh? I love you. I need 6 arms.
Isolation. Whew. Complete desperation. I don't want to die. So my kids' unconditional love for me to give me help to get hope, to get to detox, to get to rehab, to get family support. Unconditional love.
It's that unconditional love that saved him, and he truly believes it will help make a difference in other people's lives.
Love you guys. Good job, Terrence. Great job. Yep. Show love to each other. I never want these kids to hit my rock bottom. I never want them to touch my desperation. I never want them to touch how broken I was. I never want to go back there. I never want them to touch what I've touched.
And that is why he does what he does. On the court.
What do you love? What do you love to do?
And in the classroom.
Why do you come to school? Why do you do what you do? Does everybody have a
3
pen?
years sober, and he says it's by the grace of God he is alive today.
We're making a difference now. So my thing at the end of the day is, are we part of the problem? We're part of the solution. And I know I was definitely part of the problem.
He is a man able to look past the bottle and is no longer ashamed of what he sees when he looks in the mirror.
This is what I'm supposed to be doing. There's no doubt.
Over the past 3 years, O'Connor says he is proud to have been alcohol-free and proud to have had an impact in more than 6,000 young people's lives. Amazing sometimes what motivates people. Doctors told this woman she did not have long to live.
And I was told I probably wouldn't live a year.
I decided that we just couldn't stay in the house, so I said, well, let's just take a walk for a little bit of exercise.
How Pennies from Heaven proved her doctors wrong, and how this couple's been making a difference ever since. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I asked 10 people if they saw a penny on the ground, would they pick it up? 6 of them said no. I met this one woman who said picking up 1 penny helped save her life, and all these years later, she's still making a difference. Pennies, pennies, and more pennies.
That's what we call a piggy bank.
Safe to say, Jim and Maddie Jones are obsessed with finding pennies while out on their daily walks.
We have found street change just everywhere.
All this started back in 1986.
And we don't run out in the middle of the street and get them necessarily.
I mean, you're not crazy.
No. Well, pretty close, but
Doctors told Maddie she had colon cancer.
And I was told I probably wouldn't live a year.
Then one day, Jim convinced Maddie to put on her shoes and try walking to the end of the block. And then this happened.
we found a penny, and I said, well, this is the first day of the rest of your life. Pick a penny up, and all day you'll have good luck.
30 years later, their luck has been pretty good.
We never go home empty-handed.
You would think after all these years, it would be easier just to follow this sign to a lot more than just pennies. But the Joneses are just as oblivious to that sign as they are to which president is actually on the penny.
Abraham Lincoln. Many as I've picked up, I should know.
We don't think about who's on it other than the fact that it's there.
So, take a guess at how much lost change these two have rescued. Jim and Maddie never imagined they would find more than $6,000. That equates to more than 600,000 pennies. Maddie says she still has a lot of living and penny searching to do. But when the time comes,
we have it in our will that upon her death, that this is to go to St. Jude's Children's Hospital, all this money.
Who knows how many pennies that will wind up being. And for those people who think it is not worth their time to stop and pick up one of these,
And even something as trivial as a penny on the sidewalk can make a difference.
Oh my, look here.
Maddie is living proof. Bill and Maddie keep walking almost every day, and they hardly ever go home empty-handed. As a matter of fact, over all these years, they have collected more than 600,000 pennies. Now to our next story. Don't mess with what's not broken. That's the recipe for success at Bill's Donut Shop in Centerville. But then there's this other recipe that has nothing to do with donuts, but it's still so vitally important. 268 North Main Street in Centerville. There is no mistaking what's made this place so famous.
You can't walk in and smell them and not want to eat them.
Voted one of the best donut shops in the country, the 35 employees here keep doing what they do best at Bill's Donuts. From the fryer, to the icing, to the chocolate chip sprinkles. Safe to say, these folks know a thing or two about donuts. And coming from a guy who never met a donut I did not like, I have never really needed an excuse just to stop by. But when I walked in the back door, down the short hallway, I found something altogether different going on. This happens every Tuesday afternoon. For the better part of 2 years, Jackie, Jean, Deneen,
We go to Belize every year for a mission trip, and I took 8 of them last year and delivered them to somebody in Belize that needs them for the elderly.
and the 7 other ladies have taken over the side room here inside Bill's.
I'm getting better. You want to learn?
Learn how to turn someone's trash
Yeah, I've made a few of these.
into something people use just to get through the night.
People that are coming in to buy donuts all the time will stop by and say, what are you making? And we'll say mats for the homeless, and they're like, what do you make them out of? We'll say grocery bags. They literally don't believe us.
The process is really quite simple. These ladies cut the bags into strips, knot the strips together, then it's on to crocheting. It takes Jackie Stutz about 40 hours and 800 old grocery bags to make just one of these mats.
See, I think I made about 18.
And each of these mats is a unique piece of art, but it is so much more.
Things are so hard in the world. I want them to know that there's love. That's the big thing. Because sadly, I made this one red, white, and blue kind of for a vet.
These ladies estimate they have made about 200 mats for the less fortunate.
It's heartbreaking, really.
Lisa Tucker owns Bill's Donuts. She is proud to be a part of this weekly get-together, yet saddened there are so many people needing this help.
Whole families that are homeless.
This summer, word spread about what these ladies were doing, and a vacation Bible school got children involved.
And these kids cut strips and they wove a mat. So we had 10 mats from 5 and 6-year-old kids.
No matter the age, this shows people really do care.
The sentiment was the same, and these kids, we wanted other kids to know in these shelters that, hey, there's a 5 and 6-year-old kid that's thinking about you too.
Not too long ago, Beverly Smith never imagined she would be doing something like this.
She said, do you crochet? And I said, no. She said, I'll teach you.
Her friend Faye made good on that promise.
Bless her heart. So she did, and I did, and the rest is history.
These ladies and these bags.
We're praying for these people and hope that maybe someday they won't be homeless.
Here on North Main Street, it's quite simple, really.
I'm just glad I can give back.
Mix in some plastic bags,
You're welcome.
some women with big hearts, and a few donuts, and you have a great recipe for making a difference.
It makes me feel good.
Those ladies tell me it takes 800 bags and 40 hours to make just one of those mats.
You are about to have a bad day. Don't take those hands off of there, okay?
You know, these days lots of people wonder why anybody would want to be in law enforcement. But spend a day with Officer Aaron Stevens and you might change your thinking.
I'm invested in this community because this community is invested in me.
Armed with respect and love, how he is making a difference on the other side of the break. Welcome back. You know, you work a job for 30 years and it's easy to become cynical, but this is no ordinary job and this is no ordinary employee. Keep in mind, with so much controversy facing law enforcement today, we met a police officer making a difference one call at a time.
It's good to see you again, and thanks for being here this week.
When it comes to small town USA,
We're going to be praying for you.
the 37,000 people living in Richmond could not be more proud of this ambassador.
Hey, how are you?
Born and raised here,
I'm invested in this community because this community is invested in me.
there's really nowhere Officer Aaron Stevens can hide. It's his friendly wave out his cruiser or hanging out with school kids. But to have him tell it,
Because I'm nobody. I am nobody.
Officer Stevens is one of the most humble,
I'm Gary, stop this vehicle.
most respected,
Ohio plate, George, Nora.
and most respectful people you will ever meet.
First of all, let me tell you why I stopped you, okay?
Armed with respect and love, Officer Stevens makes it easy to forget some of the stereotypes thrust upon his profession over the past couple years.
I was a person who actually believes in everyone.
Every day, he works to see the good in people,
Do you really want him arrested?
even though at times they might not make the best of choices for themselves.
If everybody were cynical, you had no optimism, and without the optimism, you have no hope.
We watched Officer Stevens investigate this domestic violence call.
May I have a case number for battery?
This involved a woman claiming her dad pushed her, but then he left. Moments after we got here, her dad came back.
Keep those hands there where I can see them.
This man was a retired police officer.
Did I say you were going to shoot me?
You're acting like I'm a damn criminal.
You're about to have a bad day.
Yes, I've had
You are
a bad,
about to have a bad day. Don't take those hands off of there,
I've
okay?
had a bad day all last week.
This is where Stevens went from being a police officer.
What's going on?
To being a therapist and just somebody who was a good listener.
She's a heroin addict.
The father said he was just trying to get his daughter to come home.
You don't understand what's going on.
No, I do. I work this every day.
He's talking about drugs. Aaron knows this man's fight personally.
Yeah, I can. He's fighting addictions.
He is talking about John Stevens.
Excuse me if I get emotional. That's my little brother.
Last month, Aaron watched another officer arrest his brother for drugs here in Richmond. It was one of the toughest days of his life.
Fortunately for my brother, he was arrested instead of being found overdosed or dead or, in the back of an alley, bleeding to death.
You have Jake also.
Officer Stevens truly believes the future of this community is right here with the community's children.
So you're new here to Vail, aren't you?
For almost 20 years, his other passion being on Richmond's school board.
I promise.
I promise.
To do my best.
To do my best.
To be a good student.
To be a good student.
She asked he go visit her son because he was so afraid of police.
Thank you. You are now a junior police officer, okay?
What took just a few minutes of Officer Stevens' time made a difference.
I guess we're going to be on TV now.
Little Joey Israel's mom is convinced this will last a lifetime.
It made me feel more relieved. Maybe he'll not scream and cry when he does see an officer. He'll actually go to an officer when there needs to be help.
For a man who's armed with a gun, how easy it is to forget he even has a weapon.
Arrests don't solve things.
Remember the man he put in handcuffs for pushing his daughter?
In the end, it can not only end up in a handshake, but also that other person telling you thank you. So, that's what we try to do.
I asked Aaron what he wants people to remember most about him. One, that he made his parents proud, and
that I hopefully made a difference in the life of someone in 30 years.
So many lives this community has lost count.
Amazing grace.
Officer Stevens considers himself blessed to live in a place he is proud to call home.
For it was grace that bought my liberty. I'll never know just why he came to love me so. He looks beyond all my faults and saw my need.
A quick side story to Officer Stevens. About 4 months on the job with the department there in Richmond, he was off duty, he was involved in a crash, and he died. Somehow, doctors were able to bring him back to life. He remembers none of that. One thing that the community will always remember is his sacrifice there in Richmond. From Richmond, we head east to Beaver Creek and spend some time with Joe Radin. Every day, he works to show his appreciation for our country's veterans. What some might see as simple is also very powerful. Almost every day, for close to 50 years, Joe Radin has made this walk.
Jack of all trades and master of none.
Joe moves a bit slower now than 20 years ago, but this 84-year-old is on a mission to his
office.
He turned this old chicken coop into his backyard workshop.
I'm just a simple man. I never went to high school.
But what Joe created here, you might just need a master's in engineering to run.
Well, I'm going to drill holes in those suckers.
Surrounding Joe is the occasional cobweb and wall-to-wall cigar boxes. Everything has its place. And if these walls could talk, the stories they would tell.
Okay, now then.
What Joe has here is his own little assembly line.
Simple, isn't it?
He loves this.
You know what? When you enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't seem like work.
All day long, he cuts small pieces of wood glues them together, and the assembly line keeps moving.
Anybody that's got a job they don't enjoy, stop and see if you can get another one, because you'll be so much happier.
While he does this all for free, the payoff you could never put a price tag on.
I think it's just an old country boy fooling around. It comes out pretty neat that way.
What's going on here really is quite simple.
Okay, that's that.
Since 2012, Joe's been making miniature shadow box flag holders.
I'm one man. I can only make so many.
Look closer and you will see his attention to detail.
Yeah, that's all I got.
So far, he's handcrafted more than 4,600 shadow boxes, each one with love and respect.
That comes out pretty neat.
And his own personal touch.
Handcrafted by Joe Radin.
The way Joe sees it, this is the least he can do for those who have served.
I hope to let the veterans know that somebody appreciates what they've done.
Wherever he goes, this Navy vet is always looking to find another vet.
I shake their hands when I give them one, and I said, no, I want to shake your hand again. And they look at me, and I said, that's for the thanks you never got when you came back home from Vietnam.
Joe's mission, hand out at least 5,000 of these shadow boxes.
If somebody helps you, and you can help them in any way, do it, because it'd make the world a better place.
And from this little corner of Joe Radin's world,
I hope I'm making a little bit of a difference. One man can't change the world.
My friend, more than you will ever know.
I'm a jack of all trades, remember? I got to take a coffee break.
At 84, Joe never misses a day of work. Keep in mind, he has made almost 5,000 flag shadow boxes, all for veterans. Coming up next, a family's true meaning of Christmas, what they do before Christmas and Christmas morning before they ever open a present. Now to the story of a family that loves Christmas. A few years ago, a mom and dad wanted to make sure their children knew it was not about Christmas and 3, 2. Now to the story of a family who loves Christmas. A few years ago, a mom and dad wanted to make sure their kids knew that it was so much more than just presents under the tree. It was about giving rather than receiving. And that's why they love Christmas. Here on Webster Street,
I follow Teresa a lot.
long after the downtown deli market stopped serving lunch for the day, people just keep coming and coming.
I get really excited about this day.
No way they are going to let Old Man Winter ruin what's become the Ferris family's Christmas tradition.
See you time together.
People giving back to the community.
That is 8-year-old Hayden, along with big sister Addie.
And it's really fun because we make memories together, and it's just fun to see everyone working together as a community.
And then there's middle sister Lily.
Happy because I get to see the other people smile.
What's going on here is really quite simple.
With the holidays, we wanted them to know what Christmas was all about.
Along with managing the deli by day, Emily and her husband Mark are just as busy raising their 3 kids.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Who are you?
I'm Hayden.
Hayden?
Yeah.
Who are these people?
These are my parents.
What do you think
Dada and Mama.
Every moment possible is family time. 4 years ago, right around this time, the Ferrises realized they needed to hit the brakes on all of the holiday chaos.
I love my parents very much.
Thus the beginning of what is now known as the Ferris Family Blanket Bash.
Each of the kids made one, so I think we made 3.
2 or 3.
Yeah, and then they wrapped them up in newspaper and wrapping paper, and we took them on down to Dayton Children's, and they loved it so much. So we just did it a second year.
Word spread.
Oh, okay, thank you. I like that.
And people just started showing up because they wanted to be a part of something. What started with 3 fleece blankets now has them snuggling up to
2,000.
2,000 blankets.
It's a good feeling.
Each one of them created with loving hearts and hands.
I see joyful colors, happy colors, sports colors, a lot of colors.
Soccer balls. You pick your own fabric, so it's cool to see the different prints that people choose.
Each one fussed over like it's their very own.
We're working on number 8. 9. Number 9.
This is the second year here for Teresa, her friend Patty, and Patty's daughter Jennifer.
I rule with an iron fist.
And with Penguins, all three help keep each other on track and focused on why this Christmas will be different for them.
Last year, Christmas time, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And this year, I'm on the other side of breast cancer, and I'm extremely grateful.
I have a daughter that lives in Georgia that hasn't been home for Christmas for 9 years, and she's coming home this year. So yeah.
And leading up to Christmas, including Christmas morning, Mark and the family make special deliveries to St. Vincent's Homeless Shelter and Dayton Children's Hospital.
Kids in the hospital don't really get a lot of presents on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, and we like giving them because it gives them memories.
And coming from an 8-year-old, that just might be the best Christmas present yet.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
The Ferrises promised to be right back at it next year, and this is an open invitation for anybody who wants to take part in 2017. We are always looking for that next Making a Difference story, highlighting people and organizations doing great things in our community. Please let me know who's making a difference where you live. Send me an email at james.brown@whiotv.com or send me a message on Facebook. We want to thank you for spending part of your holiday with us, and from all of us here at Channel 7, we wish you a wonderful 2017. Keep in mind, News Center 7 at 6 is next. Have a great night.